Well, Brett Cooper is going to tell the young men how to find a traditional woman in today's dating marketplace. Wow. Now, I assume some of this is to incel men as well that can't find a woman. So here is her advice on how to find a traditional woman that many men are looking for. I don't know very many men that are looking for blue-haired feminists. So let's give a listen to Brett. Hey, if you're liking this content, give me a like, subscribe, and give me a comment below. Let's get to it.
Where would you recommend a guy go to find a traditional woman? And where would you recommend they don't go?
Oh gosh.
Because I was just at Coachella.
I feel like that's probably not the right place to go.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah, did you learn that?
I got no idea what Coachella is. I guess I'm out of the scene here or something. But anyway,
Well, I didn't really talk to any like women.
You didn't talk to anybody?
I mean,
You did.
no,
Who did
no,
you talk to?
not. My friend was talking to a girl,
Yeah.
and she had a friend, so I kind of like
Yeah,
tried to keep the environment in a good situation.
excellent.
Yeah, she was actually pretty cool,
Hmm.
but I feel like walking around, it was not the ideal situation to probably find a traditional woman.
No, for sure. It's like going.
so I guess this is a club that he's at. Hey, you might find a traditional woman. This guy is giving a good idea out that Brett didn't pick up on. You might find if you have a friend that's a traditional woman and you go somewhere with her, she may have a friend that's also a traditional woman because traditional women normally hang out with other traditional women. They don't typically hang out with blue-haired feminists. That's a good idea. Let's see what Brett says, though.
Find to a location where you know that values are in practice. Basically, and it doesn't need to be like, I'm going to go to this church that is exactly whatever, because people have all these different opinions about like whether church is a great place to meet people or not. But this thread was basically arguing like if somebody is showing up to, this workout class every single week and you see them there and there's like repetition, or if they're going to this run club or like a tennis group or whatever it is, it's like joining an activity where it's like you're showing like I care about health and physical exercise. At least you're like sort of moving in the right path.
Hold on, time on a minute here. I got to make an interjection here. So we're talking about finding a traditional woman, and you might find her at a health class or a tennis club, but forget about going to a church because people have all these different opinions on if you can find a woman at church. What? What are you talking about? Now, I'm guessing when they mean traditional woman, they mean traditionally religious woman. Probably Christian if we're talking in the United States, but maybe, I don't know, maybe she's traditionally religious Jewish or religious Muslim, but I don't know how you're going to get anything other than traditional. If you get away from religion, you're probably not getting traditional women. So forget about the church. Like, where else would you find this traditional woman or a religious woman if she's not in her religious body of worship here in the body of believers that she's in? Like, what? Like, wouldn't that be the place where you would start, not the tennis club and whatever else? Like, okay, well, let's listen on to Brett here.
Or joining some kind of like organized group where you have like similar values. I think that's probably the easiest way. I also think that like on dating apps,
An organized group where you have similar values. Like maybe a statement of faith where to be a member, you have to make a profession of that stated faith value like that. Yeah, that would make sense to me. Nah, just go join the tennis club. Okay.
you have to be pretty clear about what you want and who you are. I think that's where the pitfalls of dating apps happen, where it's like men and women both are. Well, I think it's more with men, less with women, because based on the responses that I've seen, like you were saying, of like women responding to guys, if they show any shred of not being a like feminist liberal, um, that, basically my point in saying this is that you have to be very clear about what you want, and it kind of sucks sometimes because you'll get responses from women who are like, no, this is terrible, but you're waiting, you don't want to date them anyway. So it's like if you are upfront about what you want and your intention with dating and your values, it is so much better because you weed out the people who are going to dislike you anyway, and then you will attract the people who
Yeah, there's some great advice from Brett Cooper, who's never dated a woman. Listen, here's the advice from Brett Cooper. Listen, you just need to be upfront with every woman you meet. Okay, here's my intention. Here's what I'm looking for. Do you want to jump on this train or not as we move towards a marriage situation? Because I need a traditional woman. Yeah, I don't think that's ever worked in the history of mankind. Unless we go back to the days of like the dowry, as my buddy Shaw talks about a lot. I mean, I guess if we go back to those days, then that could work, where we're talking about an actual proposal and negotiation for this marriage. But when we're talking about romantic dating, you can tell Brett has never dated a woman before because that is not how it works. I'm getting old, and I even know that is not how it works. You better have some charisma, you better have some charm, or else it's not gonna happen. That's just the way it goes. All right, let's.
Hopefully you're in line with that, which is harder because that means a little more confrontation and being public about things. But I think that's key. But I do think a huge part of it is being in an environment where you're seeing somebody repeatedly and you're seeing them in a group of friends or in some kind of team related thing. And I wish I had more concrete advice, but I feel like I kind of got out of the dating market pretty quickly.
It's so funny.
Yeah, I can tell. I can tell that you got out of the dating market and you have no clue how a man should go about dating a woman. I can tell that exactly. And she shouldn't really. I guess she got married young at like, I don't know, 1920 or something like that. But I would have, if these guys would have just like role played, they say, okay, yeah, let's role play here. Let me role play with your advice that you have about how to find a traditional woman. Let's say we met on the street and I came up to you and say, hey, let me be clear on what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a traditional woman. You look like you're single. I'm such and such and such, and I have this job, and I'm looking to get married within a year if I can find somebody good, blah, blah, blah. That woman would run for the hills, screaming, probably pulling her hair out, that you are the creepiest dude she's ever met in her life, right? I mean, most all men know this. Now, why these guys here would ask her, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, let's go on.
It made me think like going to a pickleball club or going to a run club and trying to meet someone. Yeah. It's like you're going there though for an ulterior motive.
I know.
And that for me like feels a little weird. Yeah. But it made me think, and I still think it's so funny. Like
we go to a pickleball club to pick up a traditional woman. Are all the traditional women hanging out at these, what was it, tennis, running, fitness, or pickleball? Like what? I guess I didn't realize in 2025 all traditional women are into these activities or something like what? Oh, okay. I guess I'm out of it.
I have friends that swear by certain methods. They're like, dude, like, this is gonna sound like they all say like go to a gay bar. Yeah. Because if you go to a gay bar, then
it's all the girls that are gay best friends.
It's girls that are just trying to have fun. Yeah. They're not like peacocking at a normal bar or a non-gay bar.
For sure.
That's what we call them now, non-gay bars. Yeah. Where they're trying to show off to guys or whatever. Yeah. But at a gay bar, they're just trying to have fun, sing some karaoke.
That actually makes a ton of sense.
So, how to find a traditional woman is the title of the video, of which we're about 3 minutes in. We can tell Brett Cooper has absolutely no idea how to find a traditional woman, but she agrees, yes, that makes complete sense. You can find a traditional woman at a gay bar if you're a man. Okay. That sounds like the dumbest advice to give a man, especially maybe a very frustrated man, like an incel man that just cannot find a woman. Yes, go to a gay bar. You'll find a nice traditional woman there. Are you kidding me? I have never met a woman that I would consider a traditional woman. I've never met one that went to gay bars. Not in my entire life. Now, maybe I'm a freak. I mean, I'm 41. Maybe I'm a freak. Going to gay bars to pick up traditional women? What on earth are you talking?
Yeah. But it's also, I don't know. I guess going out somewhere with the intention of like is a little.
My response to that would be like, I would never join a run club because I hate running. But I would join maybe like there was my first like summer in Nashville. I'm really bad at volleyball, but I had friends that had like a church volleyball like league, but it was like through the city, but their church group they needed an extra person. I was like, yeah, sure. Like I really like it. Like I didn't go for any purpose of meeting somebody and I didn't meet somebody, but it's
Okay, so hey, now I'm liking this direction. Go to like a church league where the younger people like to get together to do something together. Maybe they volunteer at a soup kitchen. Maybe they play sports. Maybe they do, I don't know, whatever they're doing. Now, there is some better advice than the rest of this nonsense I've heard before. Find a conservative church group that gets together to do some activity and meet someone there. Maybe that would be a good, okay, all right, I'm liking that
like you
direction.
find something that you're actually interested in because if you don't meet anybody, you still get to gain a skill or do something that you enjoy. Um, whether it's like a
Gain the skill of playing volleyball. Who cares about that? You care about volleyball. We're talking about finding a woman to build a family with, and we're talking about throwing balls around. Like what? Oh, come on.
a gun club or a doesn't have to be pickleball. But find something that will enrich your life regardless
A gun club. How many traditional women are hanging out at gun clubs? Like, okay.
of whether you meet somebody or not.
Do you think dating now, just from what you've seen, is harder, or are people just getting too emotionally weak?
I think it's probably a mix of a lot of those factors. I think dating is objectively harder because the social norms have changed, where it's like, and I always say this too, Gen Z wasn't taught how to date. Like, I don't know what your first experience was like asking a girl out or dating, but I got asked out for the first time. My first few dating experiences were all digital. Snapchat, Instagram DM, joining my sorority at college and being like, why are you not on Hinge? You need to be on like Tinder and Hinge. And then like met my first boyfriend on Hinge. And
Let's see. So she was in a sorority in college. Doesn't really sound like a traditional woman to me. I don't know. When I think tradcon woman, sorority in college doesn't come to mind. That actually probably the opposite comes to mind if I'm thinking sorority college girl here. But okay.
I was only asked out in person. Alex was like, he's the only one that I remember. And I want to make sure I'm not just saying that because I married him. But no, I had one other guy ask me out in person. Everything else was like text, digital, the art of flirting, of like sending signals, of making like women who like won't freaking make eye contact or smile and like show a guy that they're interested. And then men who obviously it's a scary time to just go up and ask a woman out, especially if she's not giving you signals. And it's already hard to be a guy asking somebody out. But it's like that little like dance of dating. I feel like Gen Z just didn't get. We
So
didn't
what's
get
the
that
move?
exposure.
Is it just to get a number? And then once you get a number, then it's a text or like, I guess
Oh,
the
I think
numbers. It's
it's
Instagram or
preference, yeah.
Snapchat. And then it's like, hey, you want to meet up?
Yeah.
Is that the.
So my recommendation is it's not even like some new innovative thing. It's to be in like organized groups because I think for a lot of people there's a social barrier of like comfortability of asking somebody out or approaching for the first number or even like sparking a conversation because they're like, I don't know this person. It's very uncomfortable to just go up to somebody in a bar or Home Depot. I would get asked out in like Home Depot when, before even still I got asked out at a Home Depot like 6 months ago. But that's like a bit weird. Like, and I say this as somebody who has like a very high tolerance. Like, I don't go around saying people are like creeps or whatever. But I mean, like a random guy, like kind of fall.
Well, okay, like the title of this video was how to find a traditional woman. And Brett just rambles on about how she got asked out at a Home Depot. What does this have to do with finding a traditional woman? I still like.
Follow you through the store and be like,
Did he see a ring on the finger? Or
I don't know if they didn't like see
it
or
doesn't
yeah.
matter?
What did he say?
This one wanted my Snapchat so that we could go out, and I was like, you're like 30 years old.
Did he
Like,
know who you were?
I don't think so. He didn't act like it.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's like that, and that's objectively like I feel for the guy because that's hard to do, regardless to just like go up to a random girl. But it's also like weird for the girl, and so to make this.
You know what? I'm married, but I'm gonna have to experience this next time I'm at Home Depot or Lowe's or one of those. I'm just gonna walk up to some random woman and be like, "Hey, baby, you want to go out sometime?" I just want to see how awkward it is. I wonder what she'd say. I think she's inspired me. See how awkward this situation would go. I'd probably have to not laugh though when I said it, just because it'd probably be funny. I think I'm gonna try that. I think I really will. I don't think my wife would get too mad about that, So we'll see. Anyway.
Situation easier for this like digitally stunted couple of generations where everybody's online and the landscape is really weird. It's like Chris Williamson talks about this a lot, but it's like run clubs and pickleball clubs have become like the new dating apps, basically. And the reason why is because you're now going to a place regularly with a semi-regular group of people. Like you're going to see the same people week over week. And so you can spark up a conversation with very, very low stakes of like, oh, hey, what are you listening to?
I think
whatever.
It's higher stakes because you see them every week and you're in the same group and that like.
Well, I think she's saying not in like a manner of hitting on them, but in a manner of just like opening up dialogue.
Yeah, I think of just like starting the conversation because there's so many like, okay, you have to think about how unsocialized people are right now, especially coming on the heels of COVID where it's.
Why would you go to any of these groups? Why wouldn't you just go to a church? I still don't understand. If we're looking for traditional woman, a church or synagogue or mosque or what, why are we going to run clubs? Like, what kind of idiot advice is, I don't, what is happening here?
It's like, I can't even go and talk to somebody in person. So if you just to get off the app, of just like make a friend, of just like being comfortable sparking up conversation so that you get in the habit of doing that. And then maybe you have a conversation for 3 or 4 weeks. See, am I getting good signals? Do I know if she's single? Do I know if he's interested? Whatever it is. And then it creates an environment that's like, oh, okay, we can go out. And then it's also, I think, low stakes because it's a run club. You can find another run club. Like, it's not like it's at work.
Okay.
Those are like high stakes. Alex and I.
Okay, that's the one good thing she said. Don't date people at work, okay? If you're looking for, but again, I don't see what that even has to do with a traditional woman. How to find a traditional woman? Okay, don't look for one at work. Yes, that's good advice. That was just like a happenstance kind of comment, but yeah, I agree. Okay, don't try to find women at work. But still, the subject is how do we find a traditional woman? Okay, all right, we're about done here.
We dated when we worked at the same place. And that's like, I was always very against that, but I kind of like knew I was going to marry him immediately. So I felt okay with it. But in those environments, it feels very low stake. And then, but it creates the social foundation to be able to have those conversations and then like move to like flirting and asking out. And it feels less precarious for the man and the woman, in my opinion.
Well, we'll stop the video there, but I'm still confused on how we find a traditional woman in Brett Cooper's opinion in the year 2025. Now, if you want an opinion by the PostMillMan, I'll give you one because I got plenty of opinions. I got them out there. Here's how you'd find a traditional woman in 2025. You would go to a traditional place. Oh, idea there. Go to a traditional place. What are those traditional places? They're still around. They're called churches. Okay. Go to wow, I know there's all this controversy in going to a church. Yeah. If you're going to find traditional people, then go to a traditional church. Now, you don't necessarily go to the church where there's a blue-haired feminist that's the pastor of the church and they've got like a rock concert going on with fog machines and spotlights and whatever in there. If you're looking for a traditional woman, that may not be the church that you would go to find one. I think you could probably get a feel for the church that would have the kind of traditional, but traditional, probably religious women are going to go to traditional religious places, and that's where you would find them. If you want to catch fish, you go to stocked ponds, right? That's an old saying. Go to a stocked pond if you want to catch fish. That's where the traditional religious women would be. Now, if they're not religious, then they probably wouldn't be in a church, right? Now, there are some that aren't religious that are in a church, and you got to watch out for those, right? There's all these warnings about they're just no good in the church, blah blah blah. Well, yeah, there's some bad ones. You're going to have to throw those fish back, but if you want to find a traditional woman, you got to go to a traditional place. And don't state your intentions right up front. We do not live in the dowry system yet. Maybe we're going back to it, but we don't. You don't state it out in front. You use a little game. You use a little charisma. Blah, 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 blah. That's what you gotta learn that stuff, or else you'll be going nowhere. And we know this. And we're getting it turned around, finding a traditional woman. We got more and more incels every day. We got to get that trend turned around too, because Christ is winning. He's building his church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Get out of the basement, get into the churches, find that woman. Until next time, this is the Post Millennial Man.